When creating assemblies using the top-down design method, it's important to understand the difference between Edit Assembly mode and Edit Part mode. In Edit Assembly mode, you're working on the assembly itself, doing things such as adding components to the assembly, defining mates, and creating assembly-level features such as assembly cuts and components patterns. Edit Assembly mode should already be familiar to you. This mode is what you've worked with all along when using the traditional bottom-up assembly design method. Edit Part mode changes the focus of your design to an individual component instead of the overall assembly. This makes it possible to work in the assembly environment and be able to make changes to an individual part as if it was open in its own window. Let's take a look at how you can transition between Edit Assembly mode and Edit Part mode. In this assembly, if you look at the status bar, you can see it reads Editing Assembly. Now, this means I'm in Edit Assembly mode, and I have access to assembly-level commands, such as adding additional components and adding mates. Suppose I want to make a design change to this ratchet body component. Of course, I could use the bottom-up design method and simply open the ratchet body part in its own separate window, make my design change, then return to this assembly after making the change. However, to take advantage of top-down design, I can simply right-click any face on the ratchet body and select Edit Part. A few changes take place immediately. Take a look at the status bar. It now reads Editing Part, so I know I've left the Edit Assembly mode and I'm now in Edit Part mode. Also, if you look at the graphics window, notice all other components have become transparent. This makes it easy for me to focus on the ratchet body as I make changes to it. And by the way, this automatic transparency behavior is controlled by an option that we'll examine in the next lesson. To further isolate the component I'm working on, notice the part name and the features of this component have changed color in the Feature Manager tree. Notice the Assembly toolbar now includes many of the commands found on the Features toolbar. This eliminates the need to activate another toolbar when you work in Edit Part mode. Switching back to Edit Assembly mode is easy. Here on the Assembly toolbar, there's an icon called Edit Component. This is a toggle switch that changes between Edit Part mode and Edit Assembly mode. When I click it, the feature icons disappear from the Assembly toolbar, the Feature Manager tree returns to normal, the other components in the assembly are once again visible, and the status bar reads Editing Assembly. Earlier, to activate Edit Part mode, I showed you I could right-click on the ratchet body component and select Edit Part. I can also activate Edit Part mode using the Edit Component icon. However, before clicking on it, I have to tell SOLIDWORKS which component I wish to edit. To do this, I can highlight a face of the component, or I can select the component from the Feature Manager tree, then click the Edit Component icon. Now that you know how to get into and out of Edit Part mode, let me show you why this is important in top-down design. I'm going to create a cut on this end face here. I'll make it a circular cut. Make the end condition through all and click OK. Once the cut is complete, I'll exit Edit Part mode. Notice the cut only affects the ratchet body component. It does not affect other components in the assembly. This is because I'm working in Edit Part mode, and the cut feature I just created belongs to the ratchet body component, just as if I'd created it in its own part window. If you look at the ratchet body's feature tree, a new Cut Extrude feature has been added. This is a simple example of how SOLIDWORKS behaves when working in Edit Part mode and using the top-down assembly design method. In the next several lessons, we'll take a much closer look at top-down design.